You might be holding a fortune in your old penny jar without even knowing it. Picture this, a coin so ordinary that countless millions were struck, yet a tiny fraction of them contain an imperfection so dramatic it can sell for thousands of dollars. That's exactly what happened with the 1968 Lincoln cent, a piece so unassuming that most people never look twice until they discover the secret lurking beneath the surface. Over the next few minutes, we'll peel back the layers on this modern marvel, exploring how a minting slip-up turned a 1-cent coin into a treasure hunt, and why every collector aged 40 and above should keep an eye out for these sneaky little beauties. The story of the 1968 Lincoln cent begins with America's most famous president and a design that's endured for more than a century. Abraham Lincoln first appeared on the 1-cent coin in 1909, marking his 100th birthday. Fast forward to 1968, and Lincoln's profile still graced the obverse under the watchful eye of designer Victor David Brenner. But the world around the U.S. Mint had changed dramatically. The 1960s were a time of high demand for coins due to booming commerce and the coin-collecting craze that followed silver shortages in 1965. Production processes had to ramp up, and for the first time in years, proof coinage was reintroduced after a brief hiatus. Little did anyone suspect that this return to proofs would produce one of the most sought-after varieties of the modern era. What sets the 1968 S-proof Lincoln cent apart is, first and foremost, the S mint mark denoting San Francisco's facility, home to proof strikes intended for collectors. These proof coins were struck on polished planchets with specially prepared dies, yielding mirrors so deep the coin's devices seemed to float above the field. Collectors prize them for their crisp details and frosted relief, but within this pristine family lurks an even rarer subset, the double die obverse. During the hubbing process, when a master hub impresses the design onto the master die, a slight shift occurred between impressions. The result is visible doubling on Lincoln's cheek and jawline, in the letters of Liberty, and most notably on the date, 1968. Under 5 times to 10 times magnification, the doubling jumps out. To the naked eye, it's stealthy at best. Estimates suggest only a few dozen to perhaps a couple of hundred of these double die proofs exist, though exact numbers are impossible to pin down. What we do know is that most were tucked away in original mint-issued proof sets or private collections, unrecognized until sharp-eyed numismatists began comparing large batches in the early 1970s. One famous discovery occurred when a collector cracked open a sealed set from the 1968 release and found 3 coins with unmistakable doubling. Word spread quickly through collector newsletters, and soon people were examining every proof Lincoln cent they owned. It became a global hunt, with specimens surfacing in the US, Europe, and even Asia. Condition plays an outsized role in the value these coins command. A circulated 1968 S double die obverse might fetch $200 to $400, depending on the degree of wear and strike clarity. But as you move into proof grades, the realm of the untouched mirrors and razor-sharp devices, the prices skyrocket. Coins graded PR65RD by major services can bring in $800 to $1,200. At PR67RD, where the surfaces are virtually flawless and the doubling is crisply defined, auction records exceed $2,500, and some ultra-high-end examples have approached $3,000. The RD designation, indicating full red luster, is crucial. Coins that show even slight toning toward brown will see their values trimmed significantly, sometimes by hundreds of dollars. Collectors often wonder how these errors slipped through the U.S. Mint's quality control. The answer lies in the technology of the time. Hubbing was still a partly manual process, and as the Mint retooled after the mid-60s silver yo-yo, staff turnover and new equipment led to unexpected variances. The double die on the 1968 S had more pronounced separation, about 0.3 millimeters, than other modern double dies. That separation made it easier to see under magnification, but because proof sets were sold as sealed packages, many coins went straight to collectors without individual inspection. There are a few interesting tales of hidden hoards. One collector reportedly bought a bag of raw proof pennies from a dealer in the early 1980s, expecting to sort through them for date runs. Among the few hundred in the bag were 2 double die specimens, casually mixed in. Another story involves an estate sale in a small Texas town where a safe deposit box contained a never-opened 1968 proof set. When it sold at auction in 2004, bidders quickly realized the hidden error it held. These anecdotes fuel the dream that somewhere in a dusty attic or forgotten safe lies the next high-grade find. From a practical standpoint, if you own any 1968 proof Lincoln cents, particularly with an S mint mark, it pays to check them under low-power magnification. Dealers and auction catalogs routinely list the double die variant as a key variety, but it's still possible to uncover one in a personal collection. Remember that professional grading can authenticate the error and certify its grade, often adding a significant markup. But even ungraded pieces, if clearly doubled, can sell privately for respectable sums, especially to knowledgeable collectors who prize raw finds. Beyond pure market value, the 1968 S double die proof holds an enduring fascination because it represents a crossroads in U.S. mint history. It harkens back to the heyday of proof sets as holiday gifts and collector items, yet stands on the brink of modern mass production techniques. It's a reminder that even in the modern age, when coins are engineered with scientific precision, human errors and mechanical quirks can produce something extraordinary. If you're excited by this story, you're not alone. Coin clubs around the country host annual events where members bring proof sets and error collections to display, swapping tales and trading duplicates. Sponsored symposiums sometimes include seminars dedicated entirely to modern double dies, and reference books now allocate entire pages to the 1968 S variety. For many seasoned collectors, adding a high-grade double die proof to a Lincoln Cent album is the ultimate modern-era trophy. Before we move on, here's one last nugget. In 2018, during the 50th anniversary of the 1968 proof sets, the U.S. Mint quietly released a limited run of modern reproduction proof sets for collectors. Those reproductions, often bearing subtle differences in luster and strike, have caused occasional confusion, but they'll never duplicate the genuine double die error. So if you come across a sealed box from 1968 versus a reproduction dated 2018, remember that the date on the coin and the packaging both matter. Now that we've uncovered the astonishing tale of the 1968 S double die obverse proof penny, from its unexpected creation to its status as a modern numismatic legend, it's time to turn our attention to another 1-cent coin with a twist that has amazed collectors for decades: the remarkable 1985 Lincoln cent. And just when you thought modern cents couldn't surprise you anymore, the 1985 Lincoln Memorial penny steps into the ring with its own bag of tricks. That year marked a subtle yet significant shift in production techniques at the Philadelphia and Denver mints, and collectors who learn to read the fine print can uncover varieties worth hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars. Let's roll up our sleeves and examine the 1985 cent from stem to stern as we trace its origin story. Inspect the telltale clues that distinguish the ordinary from the exceptional. Survey auction records that illustrate its real-world value, and reveal the quirks that keep seasoned numismatists on the hunt. By 1985, the United States Mint had embraced fully automated, high-speed coin presses and begun experimenting with metal blends designed to limit striking wear. Pennies still carried the traditional copper core, but their outer layers shifted to copper-plated zinc, 97.5% zinc sandwiched between two thin faces of copper. That transition introduced new variables in striking technology. Fluctuations in zinc purity, changes in planchet hardness, and evolving die fabrication processes all conspired to generate error coins that collectors prize today. What began as an efficiency measure ended up setting the stage for varieties that would only be recognized decades later, once buyers started scrutinizing date fonts and mint mark placements with today's powerful loupes and digital microscopes. Artistically, the 1985 cent retained Gasparo's Lincoln portrait and the memorial reverse that had debuted in 1959. Yet a closer look at the date's numerals reveals subtle font updates. The curvature of the 5 took on a slightly sharper bend, and the 1 received a more pronounced serif at its base. In some specimens, weak striking caused the top of the date to appear faint or incomplete, a phenomenon known as a filled die. For collectors, filled die cents are a double-edged sword. Many examples are too subtle to excite interest, but dramatic instances where the date vanishes almost entirely can spark bids of $100 or more in uncirculated grades. Mint marks offer another treasure trove for specialists. Both Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, D, since exhibit doubling varieties in 1985, though the Philadelphia double die obverse, DDO, remains elusive. Experts estimate fewer than 250 examples exist, with most confirmed pieces graded MS65 or higher. An MS66 DDO from Philadelphia barely detectable without magnification realized $4,200 in a 2024 Heritage World Coin auction. Denver's DDO, slightly more common but still rare, shows a ghostly doubling on "In God We Trust" and around the date. Denver DDOs graded MS64RB regularly clear $1,200 to $1,500, while pristine MS66RB examples exceed $3,000 at auction. Off-center strikes appear again in 1985, but the modern planchets and faster presses caused a wider range of misalignments. Coins off by 3 to 7% fetch $50 to $150 in mint state grades. Remarkably, examples misaligned by over 20%, so dramatic that Lincoln's head might appear almost cut in half, can command $2,000 or more, depending on eye appeal and toning. One collector famously acquired a 22% off-center 1985 D at a coin show for face value. He later sold it for $1,850 after obtaining MS64 grading with vibrant red-brown surfaces. Perhaps the most intriguing variety of the 1985 cent is the repunched date, RPD. Unlike repunched mint marks, where the mint mark punch is shifted, RPD involves multiple impressions of the date numerals. Evidence of RPD emerges as faint secondary outlines beside one or more digits of 1985, usually visible on the lower loop of the 9 or the serif of the 1. Approximately 1,200 RPD 1985 D cents have been authenticated, with most in circulated grades. Uncirculated examples graded MS63RB can fetch $150 to $250, but an MS65RD RPD realized $1,100 in early 2025, reflecting growing demand among specialists. The plating process of 1985 cents contributes to additional idiosyncrasies. Flaws in the copper overlay sometimes reveal underlying zinc through small pits or spots, known as lamination errors. While few collectors pay top dollar for minor laminations, dramatic flakes that expose broad zinc patches can attract attention. One 1985 P lamination error showing a 30% peeled surface sold for $375 in MS62BN, surprising many who assumed 1980 zinc cents had little error potential. Condition remains king even in modern issues. Reds, RD, are scarce in 1985 because the thin copper layer tends to oxidize quickly. Brown, BN, coins dominate circulation, while red-brown, RB, examples strike a balance between color and eye appeal. Certified census data show fewer than 500 RD 1985 cents graded MS65 or higher, making them genuine treasures. When an MS66 RD 1985 P surfaced with full satin fields and razor-sharp devices, it fetched $5,600. Proof that color grade can exponentially amplify value when paired with exceptional strike and surface quality. Collectors chasing these varieties often combine two strategies: high-grade registry, set building, and targeted error hunting. Registry sets on PCGS and NGC websites list population figures, auction records, and sales realizations, enabling enthusiasts to identify gaps. Meanwhile, bankroll hunting remains effective, particularly in less populated regions where vault stock hasn't been pre-sorted by professional error gatherers. One Colorado collector credits his discovery of a MS65RB 1985 DRPD to purchasing 20 rolls from a rural credit union. He found 3 RPDs and an off-center in that single haul. Auction platforms have also reshaped how these coins trade. Online marketplaces host timed and live auctions, drawing bidders from around the globe. A doubling in average sale prices for 1985 DDDOs and RPDs between 2020 and 2024 reflects not just scarcity, but increased collector interest in modern errors. Social media groups and numismatic blogs amplify excitement by showcasing high-resolution coin selfies, generating real-time bidding frenzies that often push prices beyond traditional auction estimates. Anecdotes abound. One hobbyist in Texas recounted peeling open a sealed bag of unsearched 1985 cents purchased for $25. Among 10,000 coins, she discovered a single MS-64 RBRPD that later sold for $950. More recently, a Midwest dealership rolled out a grab bag promotion of 1985 cents drawn from old mint archives. Buyers reported uncovering both proof-like specimens and bold cameo par 67 cents, demonstrating that even the official mint's holdings can harbor surprises. The 1985 cents market performance also highlights how grading trends influence prices. When PCGS adjusted its definitions for red versus red-brown in 2023, several coins were reclassified, inspiring collectors to reevaluate past purchases and ushering in a wave of regrades at higher levels. That shift sent RD examples of 1985 P soaring 30% within months, underscoring that the numismatic ecosystem extends beyond mint errors into the operations of grading services themselves. For enthusiasts over 40, these coins evoke memories of childhood hunts at vending machines, school fundraisers, and Coinstar machines. Back then, the idea of a common year penny commanding four-figure sums would have sounded absurd. By now, you've seen how a year that might feel too recent to be rare actually harbors a hidden universe of varieties. The 1985 Lincoln Memorial Cent is a testament to how industrial efficiency, material science, and human oversight intersect to create collectible magic. Whether you pursue high-grade red RD registry sets, chase repunched dates, or hunt for dramatic off-center strikes, the excitement lies in knowing that each coin tells a story of mint machinery, metallurgical quirks, and the ever-evolving standards of the grading world. So next time you pour out a handful of change, don't brush past that 1985 penny. Take a moment to inspect its date, assess its color, and hold it up to the light. You never know if you're holding the key to the era's most captivating errors, and if that humble little cent could end up funding dreams you hadn't yet dared to dream.